There's also tells of the legs. Now, tells of the legs are a little bit more difficult because a lot of times they're very difficult to see, and yet they're there. So what do we look for? Well, number one, look for people pacifying by rubbing their hands on their foreleg. That's a very good indicator that, again, they feel weak, they lack confidence, they're struggling with something. Look for people who are constantly moving their legs together, opening them up, closing them, opening them, closing, and so forth. This is like the person who is strumming their fingers on the table. It's saying, hey, let's move things along. Most likely, they're marginal to strong. They want to be involved, and so this is why we're seeing this behavior. The other thing we can look for for the legs is tells that indicate high confidence. So we'll see the person all of a sudden shift way forward. And usually if you're able to look at them, if you're sitting next to them, you'll notice that their feet and the legs change positions so that they're actually in the starter's position. So you have one leg, one foot behind the other. The person is leaning forward. Very good indicator that they're strong. But what about when they're weak? What about when they lack confidence? What about when they feel that they need to guard against something? Usually what we'll see is the person will go from having very flat feet to all of a sudden they wrap their ankles around the legs of the chair. Extremely, extremely accurate tell. It says, I'm very worried, I'm very concerned. The other tell that we look for is what we call happy feet. Now, some people bounce their leg all the time, and that's fine. That's how they deal with just daily stress or dealing with the situation that they're in. But some people, you only see that when they're really happy. Literally, they get happy feet. And so it shows up immediately when they realize they have a monster hand. And so look for it. Look for it beside you. Look for it in their clothing, because most people, when they get happy feet, it shows up in their clothing. Their shirt will start to vibrate and so forth. Also look for people who sit with their legs spread apart, but all of a sudden just draw them close together. Again, this is part of that freeze response. And what it's saying is, I don't feel confident. I feel like something's at issue here. I feel like something's wrong. And so they bring their legs together, and they might even bring their arms together. So these are the tells of the legs. And when it comes to the legs and the feet, you also want to look for people who cross their feet, cross their legs, and then they manage to interlock their ankles around their feet. This is also indicative of a person who's self-restraining and is struggling with something.